Off, folks. Take your left hand, take your right hand. I got the sound effects, don't worry. But still, give a round of applause right there for EP and Dana, ladies and gentlemen. Come on.
Wow, listen to that crowd. Amazing. What's going on, Dana?
I am glad to be back in the Cybertar Lounge for another month of a CYLIVE party.
Hey, no sitting down. No sitting down. You heard Will. We can't sit down in the lounge. Everybody's got to be standing up.
I'm on a standing bed, so that's ticked off for me.
That's right. So, hey, man, we got like lots to be happy about, right? Here we are, tail end of May. I don't know about your backyard. Everybody, did they have the sun shining out there? I mean, look, all you guys that are maybe 6, 8, 10 hours away from us, I understand the sun's down, but was it a nice day? Hopefully it was. Hopefully we can bring some sunshine to your lives today. We got a great panel today. We've got a 3-day weekend for you guys here in the States. Dana, I know you got big plans. You always got plans. Who knows what Dana's doing? Maybe we can have a giveaway. Whoever can actually guess what Dana's doing this weekend, what planet, what continent she's going to be on this weekend. But we got baseball kicking. We got Dodgers playing, Lakers playing here in LA. We got what else we got? Playoffs for hockey. We got Friends reunion. Dana, that's what Dana's doing. She's going to be watching the Friends reunion this weekend that is streaming. Dana, who was your favorite friend?
I actually didn't watch Friends.
What? Oh
yeah, that wasn't my show. But what I am doing to celebrate the tail end of AAPI Heritage Month is my family and I, along as a jiu-jitsu group, we're actually teaching elderly, it doesn't have to be Asian, anybody in the elderly community, self-defense. With the rise of attacks that have been targeted to our elderly community, we're actually doing a little event complimentary in Orange County and helping them learn some self-defense moves. And I'll probably learn a thing or two as well.
I love that. You know, actually, if I had my wife's family reunion, we'd probably have sparring events is what we'd probably have. Maybe you can teach me some of those jiu-jitsu moves. Speaking of which, we probably have I know someone on the panel today that could actually teach me some of those moves. More to that. Let's get to today's topic. AAPI. What are we doing today, Dana?
Yeah, so AAPI, for those who don't know, stands for Asian American and Pacific Islander. And this month, the month of May, is actually AAPI Heritage Month. And we thought it'd be a great idea to highlight that in this month's CYLIVE, and to not only celebrate the AAPI community, but actually all communities around, to really learn about the different cultures. You know, in the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, we have so many cultures, from Hawaiian, Samoan, Chinese, Indian. A lot of my friends actually growing up didn't understand that we were so different and diverse. And that's why I specifically love this month, is because we are celebrating a huge group of people and actually pushing inclusion and diversity all across the board.
It's awesome. I think it's obviously a big topic. It's great to put the spotlight on it, talk about it. And you guys know how we do this here at CYLIVE. We like to bring SMEs, subject matter experts come in and talk about success stories, where they are with their roles in their career path, anything. Talk about culture, talk about background, interesting stories. And of course, we want you guys at home to ask questions. So we're going to talk about the panel. I actually want to introduce you guys to who is on our panel today. We've got 3 rock stars. Shaku is the founder of Activiteen. Check it out. I'm actually really interested a lot on learning about this one today, because I have 2 teenagers, and I know that there's programs available here that Shaku is going to be talking about, and what they're doing to make a difference and making the world better. So you got that coming up. Also on the panel today, my brother from another, Hip Dang, VP of Endpoint Security. They're at Qualys, great company. This guy is full of lots of stories. I mean, talk about like thousands of different stories. You'd think that the guy had to be like 50 or 60 years old, yet he still looks like he's 16. He's found the fountain of youth. Maybe he can tell us how he's figured that out today. And then we have Chicha. Chicha's going to be with us today. We got some background going on there. Chicha is the director of a little startup, maybe some of you guys have heard of, Google. Yeah, Google Chrome OS for North America. Very excited to have Chicha on the program here today. She is going to be talking to us about a lot of her background, talking about her journey, her success. And no need to actually go to search anything on her. She'll actually be talking about her success today. So 3 excellent people to put on the panel today. I want to actually just make sure everybody understands that, hey, after this panel, we got some great stuff coming up later in the show. We're going to take another break a little bit later. You'll have some more beats coming from Will. And then we're going to have our co-founder, Craig Goodwin. He's going to be doing what we normally do at CYLIVE, which is giving away some software. When I say software, I should say cybersecurity. We're giving away 6 months of cybersecurity to 1 lucky winner. So stick around to find out if that's your company, or that might be you if you're a founder of a company that rose up and is hanging out with us here today. So let's talk about some housekeeping. Dana,
one more thing, EP. I think we're missing a little part. I am so happy everyone's here, and then the list is actually growing. I want this to be interactive. Let me know where you guys are dialing in from. Request some tunes, ask questions to the panelists, to EP or me, or ask anything about cybersecurity, any questions that come up. We want you interactive in the chat. Our participants, you guys can even talk to each other. We want this interactive. It's a virtual event, but we're going to try to make it, you know, as personal as we can. So ask your questions. We want to hear it. Raise your hands, you know, send in those tunes, and we can't wait to see what you guys have to ask and say.
Yeah, really cool. Thank you for that, Dana. And, you know, guys, I sometimes do the moderation, but I'm not going to moderate today. You guys don't hear me or see me anymore. I'm going to disappear. But before I do, let's bring up another person that's going to be helping alongside with Dana. So Dana's going to be one of your moderators today for the panel. And then one more young fellow. His name is Jarrell St. Thomas. Jarrell's going to come on. He's another Cyvetarian. He's a Cyber star. He's going to be on this panel today. He's got some great success amongst himself and his family, and he is perfect for today's topic. He's right in line with that, and he and Dana are going to take you guys the rest of the way. So with that, Jarrell, flip on the lights, flip on the mic, lights, camera, action. Take it away, Dana and Jarrell.
Thank you, EP. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
Wow, you have the whole setup and everything. I'm in a back closet and just to have, you know, the background close.
Yeah, well, as someone young as myself, you typically pick up a lot of equipment when you're obsessed with Twitch streamers. So,
you're a pro with this.
But yeah, today I'll be helping Dana moderate this panel of amazing individuals in their individual industries. But before we begin, I would like to say that I'm very honored to be able to do this moderation panel. I think AAPI Heritage Month is a very important month, and to be invited to talk and ask some awesome questions from people who are leading the charge in their industries is just an honor for me to be able to do that. So without further ado, Dana, let's take it away.
Yeah. Did you want to do the first question, or did you want me to do one?
Yeah, sure. I can take it.
Yeah,
I can take it from
away.
here. So Shaku, Hip, and Chitra. I know that the 3 of you have very different lived experiences here in the United States. So what has your education and work experience been like? You know, being your very various backgrounds. Hip, you were born in Vietnam. Grew up in Orlando, Florida, and then now you have been living in Portland for the past 15 years. Shaku, you went to school in England, and now you're in Austin, and you're very involved in your community. And Chitra, you actually grew up in Malaysia and then moved to the United States to go to college, and you're also living in Austin. So I would love to hear from the 3 of you about your experiences.
Shaku, you want to go first?
Yeah, Shaku.
Sure, Hip, take it away.
So thank you, Jarrell. I actually grew up in India, and yes,
Wow.
So till I was 15, and then my family, my dad was transferred to San Francisco. So I went from this really all girls, you know, convent education to this public school in San Francisco, and I was completely out my depth. You know, it was like girls and boys together. It was not just girls. And so, and then I traveled quite a bit during my teens and my 20s, and I spent 10 years in the Middle East. So what happened was I actually ended up learning how to work with and meet almost, I would say, all of the major ethnicities and races. So that gave me a really broad perspective, and I'm really glad, even though childhood was a little too change oriented, but I think you learn to become more flexible and agile, and you learn to deal with change, and that has helped me a lot. And now I've been in Austin for the last 20 years, so that's about me.
Wow. Wow. That's very, very well traveled and varied experiences. Hip, would you like to share as well?
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, Jarrell, I'm actually a Vietnamese refugee. I was born right after the fall of Saigon, which is Americans know it as the Vietnam War. The Vietnamese know it as the American War. So I arrived in America through, thanks to the tenacity of my mother and aunt. That's where I get some of my grit from. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. But she had to deal with pirates in the seas. We spent 6 months in a refugee camp in Malaysia. So actually, I take that back. I was in Malaysia. I just don't know. I don't remember anything about it. And then I arrived, and I grew up in Orlando, Florida. And Florida, forget the Florida man kind of thing, but once you're there, it really is a true melting pot. I think it's a representation of America as a whole. I grew up with friends all across the color spectrum, all across the religious spectrum, from Christians to Jews to Muslims to Hindus, Buddhists, etc. So it really gave me, in that kind of microcosm, it gave me a teaser to what the world was like. And it was thanks to cybersecurity, my career in cybersecurity, I ended up moving to Portland, Oregon. And that's where I really, truly got an opportunity to travel the world, visit all the countries and the continents, which is part of my bucket list, visiting all 7 continents and as many countries as I can, and really, truly understanding and learning the various different cultures. And at the end of the day, we're all pretty much the same. There's differences and nuances in culture, but at the end of the day, we're all human, and there's nerds in every country. There's jocks, there's geeks, there's, you go there, there's the same archetypes, and regardless of what country you go into. And that's really been eye-opening.
Wow. All right. 2 very well traveled.
Teary-eyed. That's awesome.
Chitra, would you like to share as well?
Definitely, Jarrell. First of all, thank you guys for having me. So as I think you introduced me as, I was born and raised in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And I grew up with a family, my brother and 3 girls. So very traditional family, just like probably Shaku was raised in. Girls are supposed to be seen and not heard. And so we were, my dad basically said 1-way ticket to wherever in the world we wanted to go, and 6 months to get us started. I grew up watching the soap opera Dallas. I'm sure I'm dating myself now. Super in love with Bobby Ewing. And I was just like, Dad, going to Texas. And so, first time in a plane at 17, came to Texas and really got my bachelor's, got my master's, and of course, culture shock, needless to say. Where I grew up, we had, just like Hip and Shaku had probably experienced lots of different cultures, lots of different religions. So I was exposed to all of that, but still when you come here, it's just, it's just a shocking and just an amazing amount of freedom, and I remember a coach telling me when I was going to school and working, he said, if you're going to make it here, you better look people in the eye when you talk, and you better speak up, or you're just going to be run all over. So so that's when I actually found my voice, took some speech therapy because English is my second language, and I started to actually somewhat be bold and be brave, and that's sort of my my background, really, coming to America at 17, and then I've built my career here from there.
Thank you, Chitra, for sharing your story. Everyone, thank you for sharing that. So I noticed a common trend is everyone actually immigrated here as an adolescent, so either a teen or a child. And I also noticed in your guys' bio that all three of you guys are really involved with youth programs, HIP, teaching Kung Fu, Shaku with Activatine, Chitra through Bow Wow, the reading program. How important is it to you, all three of you, to give back to our youth and our, a greater community that we are all a part of? Anyone can start. Maybe.
Everyone's so polite, you see.
Yeah.
I could start.
Yeah.
So I don't have kids, and so I wanted to kind of figure out how I can spend time with kids, and so I got a German Shepherd, and I felt that he figured I'll have my four-legged fur babies. So and I felt that we would take him everywhere, go to Home Depot, and I realized how he was touching a lot of people's hearts, and I figured, I've got to go read up about therapy dogs. Found out about the Dog Alliance, and then I took this 6-week program, me and my dog Dolph, and we said, we were just going to give it a shot and see what dogs can, how much they help folks heal in so many ways. And so there at the Dog Alliance, they have this program called the Bow Wow reading program. So basically, it's kids that are about shy readers, reluctant readers. And it's amazing what dogs do there. They basically, non-judgmental, right? And so they actually, lay their head on their laps, and you just kind of take the edge off. And so I felt that was a good way for me to not only fix my urge of wanting to spend time with kids, but also give back to the community. So we volunteer a lot at the local library there to do the Bow Wow reading program.
Oh, thank you for that. I actually have a story that ties directly into you. I was born here, but my first language was Vietnamese, so I was put in ELD. And at my local library, they had me reading to pets, the volunteer pets, because I was really shy because I had a really strong accent, and people would make fun of me. So at my library, we had something very similar. So I love that story because I was actually one of those kids who read to an animal because I was so shy.
There you
And
go.
now I can clearly.
Look at you now, you're just up in big
Yeah.
time hosting big live
Yes.
events here.
And I didn't always speak clear English like this. It was with practice and people telling me, have confidence. I used to have the very strong accent, and now, I have more confidence. So thank you. Shaku, can we hear more about Activatine? Tongue twister for me.
I know, activity, yes. So I've been in the tech industry for about 20 years, and my last job was with Cognitive Scale, an AI software company. And I was also raising 3 daughters, and they were teenagers. Wow. And it's like I think one of the things when you have teenagers is you want to put them in a little box when they turn 12, and then open it when they're 23. But in the meanwhile, we just have to deal with teenagers. But having said that, one of the things that I have learned from teenagers is, especially Generation Z, is how incredibly resilient they are. And also that this generation has actually grown up with ambiguity. They're digital natives, they are hyperconnective, but they are also extremely, the world is an isolated world because everything is online. So as I was raising my daughters, as I was looking at teenagers, one of the things I saw was that the education system was not really keeping up with the kind of demands that the job industry was looking for, the kind of hybrid skills, because the education has still stayed in the last century, and even though there is rigor there, we've not really understood the pace of technology, the pace of innovation, and how more and more students are entering the job market and not finding jobs because they are not able to match the skills that are required in the workplace. And in addition to that, 50% of mental illness actually begins by the age of 14, and 75% begins by 24. So, and then 76% of Gen Z recognizes that the skills needed in today's workforce differ from what was required in the previous workforce. So we are actually, in the middle of we are in a hybrid economy. We are in an anxiety economy where you're looking for hybrid skills. So one of the things that Activity does is we do workshops and programs and create content that provides more insights into tech skills, into career skills, and as well as life skills. So that has actually been something that I've enjoyed a lot. And I've actually learned a lot from, from Gen Z, from millennials, because you don't go into any situation thinking you know all the answers. It has to be a dialogue because you end up actually learning more than teaching. So that's been my experience.
Wonderful. I think a lot of Gen Zers nowadays feel that there's like that constant between not feeling heard and then feeling too exposed. So I'm glad Activiteen's doing a lot to kind of bridge that for them. But Hip, tell us more a little bit about about your kung fu and whatnot.
Yeah, sure. So it's probably by no surprise to anyone that I grew up like a total geek and a nerd, right? Big glasses, I had my nose in the books, scrawny, couldn't play any American sports. So when I discovered Kung Fu, it was to me a really, it was an equalizer in that, and so many of my life lessons I got from my time training in Kung Fu, from the physical hard work, transforming your body to be able to do things that you didn't think imaginable, the emotional integrity, mental grit to be able to do some of the things. And it's a lot of it has translated into my career, right? And, especially in cybersecurity, how everything changes so quickly and so rapidly, and how much work there is to be done and thinking outside the box. So for me, Kung Fu really turned me into who I am today. And I was just, this scrawny kid walk in for the first time, intimidated just like everyone else when they go walk into a martial arts school. But then I really fell in love with it, and just the training aspect of it, the going to tournaments, being a nervous wreck, putting out all on the table, all that preparation and training that you do beforehand before it's showtime. All of that's really kind of translated to, whenever we go to conferences, whenever I give a presentation, the number one public fear is public speaking. Number one fear is public speaking for many people, right? And I think if you hone that skill of being able to overcome your fears and overcome your, imposter syndrome, it really translates into many other aspects of your life. And because it was such an impactful influence on me, I want to give back to the next generation. So on the weekends, I do teach, kids and adults here in Portland, Oregon, and seeing the confidence that you can instill in kids at such a young age, like 3, 4, 5, and then that level of respect between boys versus girls, different ethnicities and that kind of thing. And that's what I mean by Kung Fu truly is an equalizer, because we open it up to anyone who wants to learn. And it doesn't matter what race, creed, or background that you come from. You come in and everyone's the same. And that's the philosophy and the experience that I was raised under, and I want to continue that to the next generation.
Wonderful, wonderfully said, Hip. I think, martial arts. I did Taekwondo a little bit when I was in middle school, and that definitely made me a bit more confident about myself. But I've been a golfer for 16 years, and so that's where I got. That's where I got all my training for in confidence and life lessons, as I can say.
Golf will definitely teach you patience, and you can't brute force golf, right?
we all try. But another question for the three of you. I know, Shaku, you mentioned that you've been in the tech industry for 20 years. And looking at the three of your backgrounds, not just Shaku, but Hip and Chitra as well. So Portland and Austin are both known as upcoming tech hubs in the United States. And since the three of you have been living in these tech hubs for quite some time, I was curious from your perspectives, how much has changed in these communities as more tech, people, tech companies are moving in and kind of transforming your environments. Uh, yeah, Shaku, Hip, Chitra.
Gosh, it's really hard to get to places these days. Now that COVID is, people are actually back on the roads. Now you see, oh, Austin's really become crowded. But apart from the traffic, you've got tech giants here like Apple, Dell, Facebook, IBM, and everyone heard of the small company Tesla that's decided to move in here as well. So I think what's happened is the job market's exploding here, but it's both those people who were laid off, who they're coming back into the job market, and then you're also having all the new entrants. I was reading somewhere that about 100 people move to Austin every day. So
Wow.
that and real estate prices have gone through the roof. But with growth is also the downside of growth is how the economically disadvantaged have really been struggling. They've had to actually move out of Austin. They're not able to afford the rent increases. They're not able to afford the cost of living. So I'm on the board of communities and schools, and what communities and schools does is they actually help students stay in schools. The Title IX schools, they help them stay in school and not drop out, because once a child drops out of school, then just spirals. It's like someone had said, you fall into a pit and then you're digging out of a pit with a spoon. It's just so hard to get out of that pit. And if you take into consideration race and other factors, this actually becomes this great divide. And then you have generational poverty. So I know we started about Austin and I took it over here, but that's the upside and the downside.
I see.
No, and something like that, it should be shared, because we don't kind of forget that aspect sometimes.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Dana.
Teacher, so you should go, since you're in Austin too. Let's finish off Austin.
Oh yeah, that's true. I guess that's a good point. I keep forgetting you're in Portland, Hip. So I plus one to everything Shaku said, right? I think it's great that we've got all these big companies. I mean, the fact that I still think back about the fact that I've worked for Microsoft and I'm working for Google, and I never had to move and relocate. I'm able to do that here. So I get to pick the lifestyle I want. But I do think that with the pandemic, with the hybrid work, what's happening is folks are saying, I don't want to be stuck in San Francisco. I don't want to be stuck in New York, in this small apartment. So I'm going to, I can work from anywhere now with the hybrid work environment. So people are just, as Shaku said, moving to Austin in droves, slapping down some serious cash. I mean, nowadays I hear real estate, folks are writing, heartfelt letters to the buyers saying why they should pick them to own that, to purchase the home. And people are putting, bidding on homes, much above the asking price. So yeah, there's the traffic, the housing prices, but with all of that also comes, great opportunity for a lot of smart, diverse folks to be better networked. I think with the pandemic, there's just more networking things happening, lots of networking events that kind of help people build a community. So I think with everything, there's always, I guess I would say that not the bad and the good, but there's got to be a balance. And hopefully, with things like this, and with Shaku's knowledge, as she mentioned, some of the stuff, the statistics she mentioned, I mean, hopefully it will just, help us in the community to balance things out, if you will.
Absolutely.
Great, thanks, Suja. So Portland, so we talked about, I moved up to Portland from Florida 15 years ago. And 15 years ago, I moved with my then girlfriend and now wife. And when I asked her to move with me, she's like, "What's in Portland?" I'm like, "I don't know, the Trailblazers." But 15 years ago, I would say Portland was America's best kept secret. But today it's no longer a secret. It's beautiful. And I spent a lot of time in Austin as well. So the two are sister cities with each other. So culturally speaking, they're almost identical, just geographically, they're located in different regions. But in Portland, I can drive an hour and a half up to Mount Hood, go skiing and snowboarding. I can go an hour and a half the opposite direction, go to the coast and see whale watching. And then I can, during the spring, I can go snowboarding during the morning and come down and play golf, and then 9 holes of golf the same day. So you have your access to almost everything, which is great. But now that's no longer America's best kept secret. Same thing with Austin. A lot of people are moving up to Portland, increasing prices of homes, gentrification of ironically gentrification of Caucasians at different socioeconomic statuses, right? And not only that, but ironically, Portland's known as one of the most socially progressive liberal cities. But there's on the real estate signs, people have slapped on "No California" stickers on it. So it's like a whole bunch of liberals that are anti-refugees from the Californians moving there, which is ironic in of itself, right? But it hits on something else, which is there is, and being a refugee myself, I can kind of see some of the patterns that's happening. Climate refugees is going to be a thing of the near future. And it's already happening, whether you realize it or not. The reason why some of the influx of Californians moving up to Portland was because all the forest fires that's happening, people losing their homes and getting their insurance checks, they're taking it. And to Chitra's point, we can now work from practically anywhere. So they're taking their insurance checks, coming up to Portland, paying for homes with cash, outbidding a lot of the natives. And that's what's causing some of the rise in prices and stuff like that. So we are already seeing kind of the precursor to climate refugees only internally within the country, but it's going to happen. It's going to be the next pandemic, in my opinion. Not to leave in a kind of a low note like that, but that being said, not of the perspective of, I welcome anyone who wants to move anywhere. And I think, the silver lining of what's happening with the pandemic is we can choose where we live, and we can choose, what's best for our family and everything like that, and still be able to do things like this virtually, which is amazing.
Speaking of moving, immigration, all three of you guys, immigrated, to America. And this is the last question for you guys, and then we'll announce our winner after. In your experiences, you guys have risen the ranks in your respective industries, and industries that really aren't populated with many people who look at us, or when we started look like you or I. What advice do you have for our API community, for our youth? What advice do you have, and what extra oomph did it take for you guys, and the adversity you overcame, all three of you, to get where you are today?
I think what I will say is the thing that holds us back always is fear and rejection. If we can understand that rejection is not lethal, it's not going to kill you, you just treat it as part of an obstacle course that you're running. You learn that it's not personal, and then you pick up and you go. That's one thing I would say. Don't take rejection personally. The second is find a mentor. It can be a formal mentor, it can be an informal mentor. Use their time wisely. Reach out to them, be proactive, ask for advice. It's so interesting how people will actually help you out if you just ask them. Mm-hmm. And asking for advice, asking for help actually requires a little bit of humility, because that means that you don't have all the answers. So that's and the third would be network wisely. You don't need to go to every event, but go volunteer in places that you really like. And at all times, what happens is when you take a step out of the door, the path always opens to you. It always opens to you. It'll take you somewhere, but you cannot find it if you're staying at home, because home is convenient, but you have to get out.
I think I want to piggyback on that with Shaku's comment about failure. I think actually failure is essential in learning, right? To learning. I mean, I think failure actually, I look at it as failure is like your partner in growth. I mean, it's a good way to learn, it's your partner in growth. So it's okay to fail. And I always tell, failure doesn't define you, it actually refines you. So, I mean, I think, I completely 100% agree with what Shaku said. I think fear of failure is probably something that a lot of folks shy away from. And then the other thing is, I would say things that you think that maybe there's no way I'm going to do that. That's like, I don't have any strengths in that. I say jump in, pivot. It's okay to pivot. I've pivoted several times in my career. I was a pre-sales person and then I got into sales. I thought there's no way I'm actually going to ask somebody for, what their budget is or anything like that. But then, I realized I kind of like that. So I think pivoting is okay as well. And, I want to kind of piggyback on Shaku's comment around networking. I think if you come from a genuine and authentic place, and wanting to really understand how this person kind of grew up got up the ranks, or I think when you come from that place, networking shouldn't be so uncomfortable. It becomes, as long as you're authentic and be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable. And I always say, when volunteering, when you serve others, and helping them grow, you grow as well. So just be bold, be brave, but be optimistic, but also always be compassionate, because I think when you're authentic and you're vulnerable, people connect with you.
And I like to think of networking as more of like a connection you're making with people rather than what can you do for me, right?
100%.
Exactly. Everything that both these wonderful, intelligent ladies just said, I completely agree with. I'll just add, maybe my personal story and context layered over to that. So, for me, you guys know my background already, but, at 18, I left the keys to my parents' house on the dining room table and just left. Right. And I learned from the school of hard knocks during that time. My first semester of college, failed, lost all my scholarships. Right. And went through, try to find my way, working 2 minimum wage jobs, $4.25 an hour, just trying to, eat and pay for my apartment and everything like that. But, to both Chitra's and Shaku's point, failure, people are afraid of failure, and failure isn't a thing that anyone should be afraid of. I see the natural inclination to do that. But failure, in my opinion, should be celebrated. And I have a 6-year-old son now and a newborn. And the thing that we talk about at the dinner table is I ask them, what did you fail at today? And what did you learn from it? I don't celebrate the successes. I don't celebrate, obviously you can, but that's how you learn and grow as a human. So I failed so many different times. And I never sought out to be a mentor or a leader or anything like that. I was just trying to figure out how to put, food on the table, how to what happens, next week and that kind of thing. But, you find your way by doing that. And so I went back to college, finished my computer science degree. I originally wanted to work for NASA, being in Orlando, Florida. That was the main industry for jobs. And then September 11th happened. No one was hiring. So what did I do? I went back and did some graduate courses, and I discovered this side passion in cybersecurity. Accidentally found myself in a startup company, and to your point, networking. I went to industry conferences, but not to try to schmooze or anything like that. I just I was interested in people and learning more, and I always wanted to make sure that I was the dumbest person in the room, because I wanted to learn from other people, even if they weren't a direct mentor. Seeing how people conduct themselves, seeing how people ask questions, and kind of just learning by osmosis, and learning just being surrounded by these incredibly intelligent and ambitious and smart people. I just learned by osmosis. And as a result, you just try to work as hard as you can in whatever position that you're in. and then the opportunities may or may not present itself. One of the best advices I got was, someone said, and I don't know who the original quote was, but there's no such thing as luck. Luck is where opportunity meets preparation. So if there's an opportunity for you, but you haven't done the homework and you haven't prepared for it, that opportunity will pass you by. If there's no opportunity, this is the time that you prepare yourself. You learn from others, you talk to mentors, you go out and network, you go to conferences and learn as much as you can. I mean, the access to education today with Udemy and all these online courses, it's so cheap and available. There's free Princeton and Stanford and MIT courses that you can get to. So there's no lack of training. There's no lack of things to learn. It's just a matter of whether you want to do it or not and invest the time in doing so. And then when those two intersect, you prepared and an opportunity presents itself, that's when you strike when the iron's hot. And so, at my position or at my place in the industry, I never thought, I would ever be invited to a panel like this, because I was always on the other side listening to experts, offering advice and taking notes and everything like that. But, if you work hard and you put in the time and the training, going back to my Kung Fu days, all the work happens in closed doors. The training that you put in, the time that you put in, it's not at these panels, it's not at the conferences, it's not at all these talks, because it could be, 30 minutes or an hour that you see that person, but it's the hours, days, months, years of sacrifice and preparation that happened prior to that really showcases itself when the lights and cameras are on.
Wow.
I like how Hip was like, hey, I used to be on the other side listening to panels, and now he's a panel here. I think that's super important that, Cybertar is Cybertar is able to give a platform. And I think that's really important. If you are able to give a platform to someone else to speak, it is so important to help others be heard. I think that's super key in our community. And as humans, let's hear each other out so we are compassionate and we understand each other even better. Thank you to our panel. That is the last question we have. I want to thank you, each of our panelists. Jarrell, thank you for joining as well. It's been amazing co-hosting with you. We have DJ Will with a few tunes, and then for our Cybertar 6-month cybersecurity giveaway is up next.
All right, giving you all one track as we bring Craig and our EP back on for that giveaway in just a moment.
I wanna be a billionaire, so freaking bad.
All right, here he is, folks. Without further ado, let's give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Craig Goodman.
Hey everyone. Wow, mind absolutely blown by that panel. What an incredible group of individuals. What an incredible group of stories there. I was listening in the background and there was just so many things that stood out for me. In fact, I've made a ton of notes here, particularly from Chitra at the end there, and stolen a ton of quotes that I'm going to claim to be mine. I think they were so powerful. So Shaku, Chitra, Hip, thanks so much for spending the time. Those stories and the way that they're articulated are just so incredibly powerful. And I think, as Dana said at the end there, to give you guys the platform to tell those stories is something that we're incredibly passionate about at Cybertar. And frankly, I was just blown away by some of the learnings there. A couple of things I picked up on: martial arts, number one, been there and done that. So, Jarrell, me and Hip are going to get together next time in the US and do a bit of sparring, decide whether Kung Fu or Taekwondo wins out in the battle of the martial arts, which is going to be super interesting. The other thing that made me a little bit sad when you first started talking about it was the whole travel thing. I've been stuck in the UK now for 18 months, which is very, very different for me. But it does highlight it to me how important travel is, not just as a functional thing, because sometimes I think we fall into that trap of it being just a functional means of getting around the world. Actually, to help build the culture, to understand other cultures, to interact with people, to see the human side of culture and gain that resiliency from moving around. One of the things that struck me about all of the stories we've heard today was there was inherently travel and movement in all of those stories that had helped people to grow and learn. And certainly something, Hip, I heard you mention your children, something I instill in mine is that, you know, the more you can learn, the more you can travel, the more you can grow, the more you can interact, just adds to that ability to be human, to listen to people's stories, and ultimately grows your opportunities. Learning was the other thing, rejection and failure. We talk about it a lot at Cyvatar. Try things, right? Two of those quotes that I'm going to steal from Chitra there were, you know, partner in growth. You know, failure is your partner in growth, giving you the ability to learn, giving you the ability to grow as an individual and with Cyvatar as a business. And refine, not define. Just incredible quotes coming out of here. You know, refines your character, doesn't define you as a person, but it helps you to refine, helps you to focus on things that you want to achieve, and helps you to focus to achieve those goals. And I think that's just incredibly important, particularly as we teach younger generations about failure being okay and it being a natural part of the course as you grow and develop as a person. Finally, to always be compassionate. Like, I love that quote at the end there. Always be compassionate. Always think about people. Always think about the implications of what you're doing. And that brings me on to why I'm taking up a couple of minutes of your time today. At Cyvatar, we're incredibly proud of the fact that we genuinely want to give back. And we say it and we mean it. So what we do every month, and those of you who've been before will be very familiar with this. We give away 6 months of free cybersecurity, which includes, you know, the benefit of my virtual CISO team to help and advise that startup. It includes some technical stuff like threat and vulnerability management, and allows them to get much better at security, reduce their risk on us for 6 months. Because we really want to do that. We really want to give back. We really want to help. And, you know, one of our missions is to democratize cybersecurity and truly make it available to all businesses. And I'm really proud to say today that we've selected Rise Network as our recipient of the 6-month prize this month. Carl's going to join us from Rise in a second, so I won't take too much of his thunder. But just to say, it struck me incredibly when I was listening to the panel today, how much of what they said really resonates with what Rise does and what their mission is as an organization. Rise ultimately is a networking community for Asians that helps to create opportunities, resources, and ultimately a support network for both Asians and intersectional and marginalized identities to help them grow as individuals and to empower them through advocacy and through education. Incredible reach as an organization, 60,000 plus members around the world in 100 plus countries. And the mission is something that is incredibly easy to grasp, incredibly powerful. And, you know, I would hasten to add that I think, despite us giving away the free cybersecurity here today, I have no doubt that from Carl and the team at Rise, our team at Cyvatar is probably going to learn more from them than they will from us. So it's going to be an incredible partnership. I'm super excited. Without further ado, I want to introduce Carl to come on and just give you a bit more information about what Rise does, its mission, and how they go about doing it. So Carl, welcome.
Hey everyone, thanks so much. I have so much to say, but I'll talk super quick. My name is Carl. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada, and I am the founder of Rise Network. We're a group that started off on Facebook in late 2018, and now we have over 60,000 members globally. We claim to be the largest professional development group for Asians, but we also do so much more than that. Last year, when COVID first hit, we were able to get over 100 volunteers across Canada to support disabled, immunocompromised, and elderly Asian folks with like groceries and, you know, just tasks that it wouldn't be safe for them to get out there. We also have a really cool mentorship program where we've paired over 6,000 people with mentors from their field. And what I'm most proud of from Rise is our firm belief in not taking from the community that we're trying to support. So almost everything we do is free for members. And in order to make all of that work, we work off of donations. And I have an incredible team of approximately 20 folks who are volunteering all of their time to help us build this organization. And that's why we're so excited to receive this gift. A quick little side story is that I admit I had zero idea what cybersecurity is. And a couple of days ago, I had a chat with Edward, and he did a great job explaining to me what cybersecurity is, threw a bunch of acronyms at me. I smiled and nodded and pretended that I understood. And at our meeting, I went back to my team and I said, hey, everyone, I have really great news. This really cool organization, Cybertar, they're giving us 6 months of free malware. And everyone's like, no, malware is not what you want. They're giving you protection against malware. So I learned my lesson there. But cybersecurity is not something a small organization like Rise is able to afford. And, this is why, saving us money, this saves us money and helps us accelerate to the next stage that we need to be at. I am a very avid activist in the community, and I talk to a lot of organizations leaders about their diversity and inclusion framework. And one of the things that I hate the most is virtue signaling and empty gestures from organizations. And that's why I'm so impressed with Cybertar, because of, instead of just lip service, like you're taking action, like concrete steps in supporting the community, and you're creating spaces like this to give AAPI folks a platform to speak. And I think that's what a real ally to the community looks like. Before I head off, just really quick plugs. You can find us on Facebook at Rise Professional Asian Network, rise.network on Instagram. We have a brand new podcast coming out. Our trailer is already out. It's called Ganbei, Ganbei, which means cheers or bottoms up in Mandarin. So we invite, really cool Asian folks to come in and, get a little boozy and just talk about their journey and their career and, how they got to where they are. So all of the panelists today, I will be reaching out to all of you to come onto the podcast, and you can find all of this information on our website, which is rise.network, RYSE.network. Thank you all again so much, and thank you, Hip, for the nomination, and we're so excited.
Carl, thank you so much. Aileen's put the link to the website in the chat there as well, so everyone can jump on that and go directly to it. From the bottom of my heart, Carl, I truly hope that you're the only customer/winner that's gone away thinking the EP is going to give you malware. Because if that is the case, then I'm worried as a co-founder, right? But other than that, I'm super excited to be working with you.
I promise you, I did not make it. I promise you, Carl. I love you, man. I love everything this guy is doing. Talking about perfect company for giving away, and what Craig just got done talking about there. I just laughed out loud, because actually that's not the first person I've heard say that for people that don't know how to even spell cybersecurity. They're like, cybersecurity, what? So it's great. Carl, we got your back, man. 60,000 followers. Crazy. I just want to do a quick recap. Craig, great job with the giveaway and the whole message, especially following that panel. Dana, Jarrell, great job, running the ship today and asking the questions. Some of the takeaways, Shaku, I loved how she explained what Activine, I got to get that one out. Bridging the gap. Love that. Bridging the gap, especially for the youth. I mean, I said it earlier, I've got 2 teens. I just saved the website. I'm sending it out to them. We're going to go over what you guys are doing. I love the fact that you're fighting mental illness as well. Hip. I mean, I've known Hip for a long time, learning more about his story and, just like, God, I get it why you have your fighting spirit. I love it. Fighting cybercrime in the day and helping young kids with martial arts with mental and physical strength at night. Love that. And then Chitra, Craig already nailed it. Some of your one-liners today, I'm putting those in my quote book. I actually have a book of quotes with those one-liner little zingers, right? So the doesn't partnering in growth. What is it? Failure is your partner in growth. Doesn't define you, it refines you. And then one question for Chitra: Who did kill JR? Did anybody hear what her favorite TV show was back in the day? Dallas. Craig doesn't even know what that was. Craig, I got to bring you up to speed. It's a great soap opera way back in the 90s. So listen, guys, just wrapping it up. Another CYLIVE in the books. We'll do another one next month. Look forward to seeing what Aileen's going to put out there for us to be promoting. And thanks for coming to the Cyvatar Lounge, being part of the CYLIVE. You guys want to learn more about what we're doing and more about all these great things that you heard Craig talking about and Carl talking about, go over to cyvatar.ai, cyvatar.ai, just like it is right above Craig's head in my head in the background there. And you guys can learn more about it. You can actually have a great experience today. You can read about it, listen to it, touch it. We have a platform. You guys got to get your hands on it. We got a freemium platform available. Everybody virtually can get free cybersecurity today. Go learn about it. Got a great updated website. Go Aileen. Got some motion going on the platform you can take a look at. And just listen to what we're doing. Go in there and start clicking away and reach out to us if we can help you guys out. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being part of our shining the spotlight on double API. And hey, we'll do this again next month. Have a fantastic